everyone. Thanks so much for taking the time out of your busy day to watch this webinar. So let's be honest, you are probably here because you either have an issue with messy books or your CPA has told you that your books are a mess. So just a quick introduction. My name is Nora. I'm the co-owner and CEO of Aladdin Bookkeeping, and I'm the host of this webinar. Let's get started. So quick introduction. So I work with contractors of many different sizes, and one of my clients that I had recently was an HVAC company in Florida. They had been super successful. The owner had reached about 2 million in annual revenue, was running his business very efficiently. Although there was one issue where he was kind of behind on filing his taxes. He was about 2 years behind when all of a sudden he had a stroke and was no longer able to run the company. So his daughter came in and stepped in and met with a CPA and everything. And the CPA was like, you need to get your books updated to QuickBooks Online. They had been using a very niche accounting software previously, and it just wasn't working. So she reached out to me. I was able to get her both set up in QuickBooks Online and get her caught up for the last couple of years. So she was able to then finally file. But at the same time, this cost them. So it cost them both money. Obviously, if you were at least a couple of years, it ended up being more like 3 years because it took about a year to get her completely done. There was a lot of inner issues as well. And then, so the IRS is going to bring on the penalties, taxes, extra taxes, all the interest. And so cost them money and then time. She had initially tried to get it caught up by herself and spent many hours sitting here trying to get it all up to date. And so those hours that she could have been using to handle other parts of the business were wasted when she could have just reached out and we would have gotten it off from the right start. And then also there was stress. So she was always very super stressed until we were finally able to get it completed and she was able to get her taxes filed, because there's always that, it's always something looming over your head as a business owner when you're behind on filing your taxes. So what do messy books look like? So I've seen it all, and these are the biggest and most common issues that I see. Number one is mixed personal and business expenses. So an occasional personal expense that let's say you forgot your personal card at home and all you had the business card, that's fine. We handle that all the time. But I've had issues where a personal credit card was added, a personal bank account was added. And so then all of these personal transactions are now muddling the profit and loss and balance sheet, which should strictly be business expenses. And so that is a huge issue and one that really needs fine tooth combing to make sure that everything is separated and where it should. And then wrong categories in QuickBooks. So what I've seen is a lot of times, especially with this new AI for QuickBooks, is rules that are made. And so a lot of times these transactions will be coming through. It's trying to match it, but it ends up putting in the wrong account, wrong category. So what that could mean is, say, meals, which is supposed to be, is usually only 50% deductible when on your taxes. Let's say there's an office expense that's 100% deductible, gets put into the meals category. Well, now you're only getting 50% of what should be a 100% deductible expense. So in our cleanups, when we were cleaning up for our clients, we go through each and every account just to make sure that there's no, like, they're all in the right spot and you're getting accounted for 100% of the expenses that you should be. Behind on reconciliations. So we do in our firm monthly reconciliations. So we reconcile all bank, credit card, loan, any other type of kind of accounts that you can get me a statement. I will reconcile it on a monthly basis. The reason behind this is if you get behind on reconciliations will catch a lot of issues. So basically you're taking a look at what's in QuickBooks, you're taking a look at what's on the statement, you're matching it up, making sure there's no issues in QuickBooks. I've seen double income. So you're paying for more taxes. You're paying taxes on income that you didn't even receive. I've seen double expenses, which means potentially lower income, but then if you get audited, it can be more of an issue. And so monthly reconciliations will catch this before they become a problem, before they build up and ultimately cause more stress and time. Beginning of the year tax season. And then waiting until tax time. So I have lots of clients that will do this. Ultimately, bookkeeping is the one thing that is not necessary until it's an actual fire. So most of my clients do come to me around tax time. But the problem with that is we are usually packed. And so while we try to get through our clients as quickly as possible, ultimately, it's going to take us a lot longer than, say, if you had reached out to us in the middle of summer when there's no looming deadline. So the cost. So what are the costs? Biggest one is money. So like we talked about, is the IRS is notorious for going after small business owners that are behind on filing their taxes. They're going to want to build up those penalties, those fees, that interest. So, ultimately what might have been a reasonable amount gets expounded really fast. And then also there's the extra CPA fees, extra bookkeeping fees for getting you cleaned up and caught up that could have been mitigated with a more monthly charge and more monthly maintenance that would have been probably a lot more reasonable than at a time when cash flow might be more restrictive. Time. So there's a lot more wasted hours scrambling. A lot of my clients have come to me after trying to clean up their books by themselves, but similar to how in the trades, I'm not going to know how to go and fix my HVAC system. I haven't had the training, but I have had the training and had to clean up, accounting issues and everything. So similar to how I'm not going to go waste my time trying to clean up my HVAC. I recommend to my clients is, obviously when you're working with a pro, you're going to save a lot more time that can go towards more money-making tasks. And then stress. So all of my clients that have come to me from the start, they're stressed. Obviously, this is something that's been looming over their head for months, for years. And then, once it's complete, they're able to breathe a sigh of relief. And like I said, get back to work, building the business they want to have. So finally, the solution, obviously, I'm going to be a little bit biased. I do really believe that, if you are in a cleanup situation, you get that cleaned up. And then I do recommend for my clients to move into a monthly bookkeeping cycle. So we would be able to handle, getting your books updated on a monthly basis. So that means your books are always clean and accurate, and you're able to rely on them in case you need for tax time, if you need any financing or any other investments. So all of that comes from having that monthly bookkeeping. And then clean books means clean reports. So you're able to, so for me and my firm, I send out to my clients every single month their profit and loss, their balance sheet, and then their accounts receivable or accounts payable aging summary report. So you're able to see the whole picture of your business, how it's doing, rather than relying strictly on what's in your bank account, which it's not always very clear. And then compliance. So obviously the IRS, has a requirement for all small business owners of maintaining clean books and clean records of all income and expenses and, everything that goes into a business. So then you're staying compliant. And then I do have another kind of success story is I had a client that, I still have them. They are a junk removal company. The owner had started a business prior to this business, and that venture eventually failed. And he realized the biggest reason was because he didn't have those clear reports. So when he started this business from the start, he reached out to me and he's like, I need to make sure I have both an accounting software set up. So we set him up in QuickBooks Online, and I need those reports every single month. So he went from zero to, I think it's around 750,000. I'd have to go back and check in annual revenue in just a year and a half to 2 years, because he was able to always track his growth through his reports, which I sent him every single month. So this may not be the story for everyone. You can go from a cleanup situation to getting those reports every single month. So then you are also able to track your growth and make decisions when you need to as far as your finances go. So yeah, that is all that I have for you guys. If you are still in a cleanup situation and you want a professional opinion on how big your mess might be, feel free to reach out. I do offer free diagnostic reviews of QuickBooks Online, so I'm able to give you what's going on in your QuickBooks Online, and then I also love to give a solution as well. Feel free to reach out. I'd be happy to chat.